It's no secret that Democrats are facing some pretty strong headwinds going into the November midterms. According to new polling, about 9 in 10 Americans now say the country is on the wrong track. That same poll found President Biden's approval rating stands at 36%, his lowest number so far as president. It's no surprise many Democrats are frustrated and many are looking for Biden to get more aggressive. The New York Times writes, quote, "While many Democrats are pleading for a fighter who gives voice to their anger, Mr. Biden has chosen a more passive path, blaming Congress, urging people to vote, and avoiding heated rhetorical battles." Meanwhile, other party leaders are striking a more defiant tone. Here's Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker speaking just after that mass shooting in Highland Park.
If you're angry today, I'm here to tell you, be angry. I'm furious. I'm furious that yet more innocent lives were taken by gun violence. I'm furious that their loved ones are forever broken by what took place today. I'm furious that children and their families have been traumatized.
And California Governor Gavin Newsom now says if the federal government won't work to reduce the price of insulin, California will take matters into its own hands.
On my first day in office, I signed an executive order to put California on the path towards creating our own prescription drugs. And now it's happening. California is going to make its own insulin. Nothing epitomizes market failures more than the cost of insulin. Many Americans experience out-of-pocket costs anywhere from $300 to $500 per month for this life-saving drug. California is now taking matters into our own hands.
My question is, are Democrats in Washington and inside the White House paying attention to these calls for action? And if they are, why does it feel like they're not listening? Joining me now is Dan Pfeiffer. He's the former White House communications director for President Obama. He's also the author of Battling the Big Lie: How Fox, Facebook, and the MAGA media are destroying America. Dan, it's a pleasure to have you here today on the show. You ran comms in the White House. You've been there. You've been in that hot seat. Is the Biden White House currently like, I would describe like a floating duck? The duck looks serene on top of the water, but its legs are furiously churning underneath. I mean, what kind of megaphone? Because you talk about the megaphone and the need for one in your book. What kind of megaphone should the Biden administration be using to get its message out effectively and efficiently?
Well, look, as someone who has sat in that building under very tough political circumstances, I have nothing but sympathy and empathy for what this White House is going through. They are dealing with record inflation, a land war in Russia, the legislative agenda is being held hostage by a conservative Democrat from a state Trump won by 40 points. You have a rigged Supreme Court taking away constitutional rights. This is an incredibly challenging political environment. And I think the speech the president gave today is a start of what he and more Democrats can be doing, which is to take the fight to Republicans, to be aggressive about who this party is. I heard my friend Tim Miller in the previous block talk about wanting Democrats to call out the Republicans for who they are. I think that's a big part of it. It has to be in a coherent narrative that is authentic to President Biden. He won, and he's the only person walking this planet who beat Donald Trump, and he won with a message of, unity, right? Not naivete, not niceness, but trying to unite the country against this radical faction. He's going to have to merge that narrative with what is happening on the ground with this Republican Party post-Trump.
Well, Dan, speaking of the kumbaya type of Joe Biden, just a few minutes ago, the president just signed an executive order on abortion rights and called on pro-choice Americans to show up and vote this November. Let's take a quick listen.
There is no constitutional right to choose. The only way to fulfill and restore that right for women in this country is by voting, by exercising the power at the ballot box. Let me explain. We need 2 additional pro-choice senators and a pro-choice House to codify Roe. I don't think the court, or for that matter, the Republicans who for decades have pushed the extreme agenda, have a clue about the power of American women. But they're about to find out, in my view.
Dan, we, like all Americans, we're very visual. We listen very carefully. We're kind of stimulated by what we're seeing or hearing. But is this the right tone? Is this the right message for Biden to be striking on such an important issue for Americans? Or does the president actually have a larger issue that's outside of the control of any messaging whatsoever?
Well, I mean, obviously, there is no amount of messaging can stop this Supreme Court, whose majority was largely appointed by presidents who receive fewer votes than their opponent, from doing what they're doing. But what you have to do is you can't just say, go vote. I think it is important to tell people to go vote for a plan. So how do we get there? How do we fix what this court did? I think the president did this very specifically. It's taken a little bit of time to get there, but to say, give me 2 senators, I will support getting rid of the filibuster to codify Roe v. Wade is a way to do it. We're going to do these executive actions. We're going to campaign and work in states where we can protect abortion access for people and have an actual specific plan to do it. I think this is a good tone. It is better that you can't just say, just go vote. You have to say, go vote. And here is how it is going to affect you. Here is the plan for how we undo this. And even if that plan is going to take time, it is going to take work. It is a plan. I think that's really important. I was pleased to see the president's remarks today.
Dan, I want to talk about your book. Before its release, you gave a preview to Vanity Fair. That preview was titled, Why Did Democrats Suck at Messaging? Which is a common question a lot of people have been asking. You say the Democratic Party's diversity is its strength, but also, quote, it poses a central and seemingly insurmountable challenge to creating positive messages for the party. How does one compose a pithy slogan or a tweet-length narrative to accurately and appealingly describe a coalition so broad that extends from Joe Manchin to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Now, Dan, that's a fair point, right? How does one come up with a slogan that can unite so many diverse voices within the party? I mean, after all, the Democratic Party is supposed to be the big tent party, right?
Right. So I'd say there are 3 things here that Democrats need to do in their messaging. The first is we need to focus on the issues that unite our base and divide the Republicans. And that one of the primary ways in which we do that is focusing on populist economics. You know, here's something that AOC and Joe Manchin agree on: raising taxes on corporations to pay for social spending, whatever it is. What do they agree on? Having Medicare negotiate prescription drugs so that everyone pays lower prices. So let's find the things we agree on. The second thing, which is the way in which Republicans over the years have papered over the differences in their party, is we have to spend much more time focusing on the Republicans, not just Donald Trump, but defining this radical right-wing faction in this country that is trying to seize power by any means necessary, including sanctioning political violence to do it, to ban books, ban abortion, ban gay marriage. We need to focus on defining who the Republicans are. And the third thing is, and I think this is the part what led me to write the book, is what we say is incredibly important. And Democrats spend so much time talking about what the message is, what's the slogan, what's the tweet. We spend very little time talking about how do we get people to hear the message. And that is where we have to build up the megaphone. We have to invest in progressive media. We have to marshal our army of grassroots activists to spread the message for us. But we have to build up our own megaphone to compete with Fox News, Breitbart, the OAN, all sort of the right-wing media outlets who are serving as a political weapon for the Republican Party.
Dan, quickly before I have to let you go, I appreciated your honest assessment in the book when you said Democrats spend 99% of their time worrying about what they should say and only 1% figuring out how to get to people to hear what they're saying. It's exactly what you said now. Are Democrats facing what I call paralysis through analysis? They're just taking so much darn time to just think it over before they're actually pulling the trigger? Because it doesn't seem like the Democrats are on the offense. It's like they're always being caught on the defense.
I mean, I think that is true of some Democrats. I think a lot of people are wrestling with a very challenging political environment that is sort of unprecedented. There are Democrats out there who are aggressively on offense. John Fetterman in Pennsylvania, Stacey Abrams in Georgia. There's a whole bunch of folks in the wake of the decision, the Dobbs case. Both AOC and Elizabeth Warren were out there on offense. And so I think there are models we can follow within our party to be more aggressive and less risk averse in sort of just trying to get the message out. You have to be communicating 24/7 in this environment. I sort of joke sometimes that in this media environment, if you were not the one serving dinner, you are dinner, right? And so you just have to be out there creating content. So I think more speaking, less thinking is probably a good, starting point for some of our Democrats, at least.
Gotcha. Dan Pfeiffer, thanks for being here. We tell everybody, go out and read that book because I want to learn about how to have an even louder megaphone. We appreciate your time, Dan.
Thank you, Katie.